You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I'm your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgs.
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
It is going relatively well. This is Halloween weekend for everybody, so happy Halloween. The day has come and passed when you listen to this by a day or two, but there you go.
Yes, it's Hallows Eve for real here because it's the 30th today.
Mm-hmm.
So we are preparing for the zombie onslaught of children.
Do you dress up, Jared?
I don't know. I don't normally dress up, but the kids.
When was the last time you dressed up?
Geez. In general, probably at the last fancy dress.
For Halloween. For Halloween.
I don't think I ever have.
No?
At all. No.
Only as a kid, or did you even ignore it then?
No, we didn't really do it as a kid. When I was growing up as a kid, Halloween wasn't really even a thing in Australia. It's only recently that we've adopted it from the US because lollies.
Yeah. With Halloween being such a fall-oriented thing, and obviously in Australia, your spring, I guess, is that what you'd be in right now, or no?
Yeah, it's spring. It's sort of creepy into summer. It's starting to get pretty hot.
Right. So obviously it doesn't quite jibe as well.
No.
It's interesting. I just found out that Japan, only within the last couple of years, has started doing Halloween. And as with all things Japanese, they're doing it in their own manner.
Of course.
So from what I was reading, they already have a spooky time of year that takes place more, I guess, a couple months earlier. And there's two different types of ghosts. They have the scary ghost, which is what their whole festival is based around, I guess. And it's like the terrifying, ghost of your nightmares kind of thing. But what they've done with Halloween is make it all about the cutesy ghosts.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so it's interesting seeing these pictures of how they've kind of adopted the American idea of Halloween, but keeping it separate from their own, although it's not Halloween, but their own version of what we tend to do here in America, which is blood and guts and terror.
Yeah, I love watching the Americans dress up in their full-on, usually zombie, or like I've had my head sort of half cut off looking costumes.
Right.
It looks awesome. There's sometimes the guys here in Australia, I've seen some pretty creative adult costumes come forward too, where some dudes have come out with like blood splatters all over them, and it looks pretty good, I have to say. I actually let them have a lolly because I think, yeah, you deserve a lolly, mate. Go on, take a lolly.
So I've always wondered, what do cosplayers do for Halloween?
That's a very good question.
Because a cosplayer, well, yeah, but they got to be. You've seen some of these cosplayer costumes, and they're incredible, just the detail. But do they then go, well, that's what I take to conventions. For Halloween, I got to do something completely different. Or do they just go, well, I spent all this time on this costume, I'm going to wear it as many times as I possibly can?
That's the approach I take. I go, this is like taking me hours and hours and hours. I'm going to get all the wear out of it I possibly can.
I'm not sure when the last time was that I dressed up. As an adult, any of my Halloween costumes have usually been, what can I toss together in about 5 to 10 minutes with minimal thought?
That's about the effort I put into it as well, mate.
Which, come to think of it, was pretty much how I dressed it as a kid, too. It was... my go-to standby was, I got to go to something for Halloween? Okay, let's see. I'm putting on my baseball uniform, and then I'm taking ace bandages, wrapping up my head and my arm, and now I'm the invisible baseball player.
All right, okay. Cool.
Or the mummy baseball player, either or. It kind of would go either way. But
you could rock it either way.
Yeah,
you take both answers.
They weren't terribly original. I have it on my mind, though, because at work on Monday, and I've only had to work on Halloween a handful of times, but I've never been like full-time on a show. And, as a day player, you're not expected to dress up, but sometimes on the shows, depending on the show itself, they get into Halloween. And so we got sent a notice this weekend that there's going to be a costume contest, but as it's a Disney Kids show, we have to, with 7 kids running around, we have to dress up. Can't be gory, has to be kid friendly, and you have to be able to work in it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there's that thing.
So no caterpillar bay loading costumes from aliens then in that case. It'll be hard to operate a camera with that.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult to lay marks on the ground and carry equipment. Yeah. So I've been trying to think, what can I throw on just quickly? And I'm thinking hair would be a good start.
Yeah. Because you've got room to do whatever you like with the state of your hair, as do I.
Exactly. I could go the full "who the hell is that guy" and shave my goatee and mustache, but I haven't been shaved in 18 years, 19 years. I think I've had this thing.
Yeah, so you could do it. It wouldn't take you that long to bring it back up. It wouldn't take long to
bring it back up, but on the other hand, I also don't really want to go there for one day.
Fair enough.
Because I did it when I first started dating my wife. I did it within a couple of months of us starting to date. I shaved it off, and she went, "Yeah, grow that back," and that's the last one.
That's very rare that we would actually say grow a beard back. Normally, they hate them.
I tend to. I will drop at least 10 years of age if I shave mine.
That's generally what happens. That's why I always look young, because I can't do a beard. My lineage doesn't allow me to grow thick set beards, so it just looks scruffy and gross. So I just don't worry about it. And it's also ginger as well. What the hell? So it looks wrong.
So speaking of Halloween, we have just had Bone Busters drop. Bone Busters has come out for the Halloween table that Farsight does every year. And all I can say is this is what you people get for demanding a Halloween table every year.
Yeah.
I've really had next to no play with it, though, Jared, because...
Well, you're a lucky man.
Why, thank you. Both because of my work schedule, but also my computer has decided that it no longer likes my video card. It has crapped the bed on that, and also one of my RAM memory sticks has gone kaput. So I cannot run Pinball Arcade at the moment on my PC. I did, however...
The universe is trying to tell you something here, mate.
Dude, man, have I just had like months of PC issues, haven't I?
Yeah, you really have. You need a Mac.
Then I wouldn't be able to play TPA, though.
That's actually true. No, because Steam doesn't work on Mac. Like, what the actual hell? It's stupid. Yeah.
Right? So I did look at the trial version of Bone Busters on my phone. And yeah, I'm left scratching my head.
It's a strange table. In every aspect of the table, it's strange.
So we'll get this aspect out of the way. It's a premiere or Gottlieb premiere, which everybody knows I loathe.
Yeah,
and
really, so do I. There's nothing really nice to say about them. They're shallow depth games. They usually have a terrible sound package, which this one delivers on.
Let's speak of that sound package. Let's get a little sample of the theme music here. Here we go. Yep, sounds like a Gottlieb premiere to me.
Yep, absolutely. That's just terrible, and that's admittedly through the Chris's microphone from the tablet, from his phone. But really, it doesn't actually sound that much difference when you're in game either. So.
Now, there's also the table itself. When it goes through the flyby mode, you can see it's got all sorts of toys or dimension to it. And like I was worried about, when you actually get into playing the game, everything goes flat because you're at that top-down view. Boy, it's just table. You need to be able to move your head side to side and get that feel, because everything blends together. Because Gottlieb never met a playfield that they couldn't over-decorate.
Oh, no. Then, boy, have they delivered on this one. It is a clown vomit hot mess of art.
Yeah.
It is terrible. And the chair, or what they call the bridge, in the game occasionally, and apparently they call it different things in the instructions to what's actually in the voice calls in the game, because let's leave the user guessing when they're trying to play this game. That thing is just I don't even know what's going on. I had to actually go into pro mode and explore the table to see exactly what was actually happening up the back there, like when you shot the ball in. And all it does is you shoot the ball up the little entry ramp, it drops into this big gaping hole at the back, dribbles its way down to a saucer, and that's it. There's nothing special about it. It doesn't do anything cool. And then when it ejects the ball, it just dribbles out the left-hand side. How unimaginative. They could have done so much cool stuff with that thing.
Now, keep in mind,
put a saucer there.
Yeah, this table was made in 1989. And apart from the wonderfully terrible soundtrack, let's listen a little bit to some of these sound effects, if I can do this properly. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Wow, exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 10 seconds of my life I want back right now.
It's this amalgamation of modern ideas with having speech, but then having the speech pulled off terribly, as well as having these secondary sounds, when you're hitting targets and stuff like that, that are straight out of 1982. Which
this
again,
is a limitation, right? We're looking at the same software system that was used on Victory 2 years earlier for this game, and it's a Gottlieb 80B, I think. And you can tell, like, they haven't done anything to stretch that platform's sound capabilities at all with this platform.
Right.
Whereas you take a look at something like System 11, where they were trying to squeeze out every last little bit of performance and finesse that they could from that sound chip. You could just see the engineering behind it and the overall care when they implement a game like this. It's just an afterthought. It just feels like an afterthought.
So, for instance, let's listen to a little bit of Earthshaker if we can. Getting this loading up on my phone.
It's not any Earthshaker though, right?
No, but it just didn't. So there's an actual, I don't know, you can argue whether you like Gottlieb's music better or not, but here's the thing. All the Gottlieb tables sounded exactly the same with the music. All the Williams tables had a clear and distinct different sound going for them.
And it's actually interesting because I listened to this, it's interesting you bring that up because I listened to the, there's a soundtrack collection by a guy called Marcel Gonzalez, and what he's done is he's taken the original sounds of all the System 11 games, a lot of them, and remastered them into like an actual sort of musical track soundtrack. And you can actually hear across each year how the soundscape of the games change. Like they'll find a new way to represent a bass line in the game. So they'll use that across all the tables in the year, and then they find a different way to represent guitars. So they'll actually they go, that's really cool, let's use that in all the games in this year. So you can actually see there's an evolution of sound across System 11 games as you progress through it. It's really interesting to hear.
Now, my other complaint is just brief, and this one actually is the Farsight's doing. On the mobile, okay, so there's an upper flipper on the right-hand side of the table that is activated by a separate flipper switch.
Yes.
And on the mobile edition, obviously your flippers it's a touchscreen zone, and it's, right below right next to or kind of side to side with the flippers. Well, they put this gigantic button to flip that upper flipper, right where your thumb normally would have gone to the regular flippers.
Yep.
And I can't tell you just in the little 5 minutes that I played with it how many times I hit that button rather than hitting my actual flipper button.
So you can change the position of that in mobile?
Are you able to?
Yes, you are. There's a setting in the settings menu that allows you to change that in 10% increments across and that's for all special button positions. So launch buttons and special buttons. It's basically allows you to move it 10% increments up and down the table. So you can customize that. Have a look in the settings menu per game, and you'll see the button position option.
Well, that's good to know. I'll have to sample around and play with that. So
it's funny, you're not the first person to have this problem. It was pretty much the impetus for me writing the Android user guide, because that was one of the things that people couldn't work out, along with the cloud saving stuff. So yeah, you've just hit the same issue that everyone else has.
So again, my only complaint with Farsight at the moment is choosing this table and that button. But I guess I can, if I can move the button, that'll help.
It's just choosing the table now.
Yeah, and I haven't. I know some people have been complaining about how the table actually plays in TPA, but since I haven't experienced it myself, I can't really comment and attest to it because I haven't witnessed it or felt it for myself. But I don't know. It's a Gottlieb premiere. God, I wish we would stop with those. And what we had hoped initially was going to be the season of sports on Pinball Arcade has now quickly turned into the season of Gottlieb.
Yes, it's Gottlieb Classics collection.
So we started off with Big Hurt, which was a more modern Gottlieb premiere with the DMD screen. And then we get Bonebusters Inc. here. And next month, according to the table hint, we're getting 2 Gottlieb EMs, for which I applaud Farsight. I will take a Gottlieb EM much more receptive to those than I would be ever of a Gottlieb premiere. The two tables, based off the table hint, looks like we are getting Jack's
Centigrade
Open
and Centigrade 37.
Yes. Which, by the looks of them, are 2 completely different styles of EM. Jack's Open,
very different.
It's kind of a wide open field with basically a bank of drop targets across the upper middle of the playfield. And it's all about hitting those in certain combinations or whatever. Centigrade,
it's actually like I was going to say, for those who haven't looked it up yet, as they're watching the show, it's actually like the drop target bank is actually shielding the pop bumpers. It's this massive, like what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drop target bank. So it's going to be, you pretty much that's what you're going to be going for, and then shoot around the back.
Well, and if it was tuned to the way most EMs should be tuned. Now, granted, this is a 1977 table, so it's not technically an EM, I guess, because it'd be a solid state.
No, this is EM. You can tell. Absolutely. It's a wedge head. It's got a counter in it's got manual counters in the back. It's an EM.
Great. If it's tuned properly, you should never be able to reach those pop bumpers with your flipper.
Well, if it's tuned properly, you should just dribble up there, not rocket up there like it's possessed.
Exactly. Pretty much, you get the pop bumpers when you do your launch ball, and then that's the last time you see them. But Centigrade, on the other hand, is much more of a lane shooter.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It's got lanes on the right-hand side.
A bank of drop targets. It's much more about putting the ball down lanes and having it hit table switches.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a bit of the Path of Adventure or the Path of the Dead on Lord of the Rings. And the fact that you have to pass the ball down the lanes, and you might have to switch between the lanes with a nudge here and there. Sure. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
So I'm all for the 2-pack, but this does worry me. So is this a situation where, because obviously we're looking at getting Alvin G. Software.
Yep, it's another Gottlieb. It's made by the brother of.
It's a different company. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it truly is, because
it is.
It's true Gottlieb versus the Premier Gottlieb, which was Premier bought the name of Gottlieb, and then Alvin G was actually the same company as Gottlieb, I believe. I mean, maybe I think
it's like the brother of the original guy. Alvin. Yeah. Alvin Gottlieb and Co.
So it's in my opinion, the Alvin G pens are more of a true path of what would have happened to Gottlieb had it not been sold off, as opposed to what the sell-off version was, where it became this pale imitation.
I wonder what the business decision was behind that. I've never read anything about why they did that.
I don't know the history myself either.
It'd be interesting to see if someone does. Let us know if you find an article on it, if you're listening.
But what I was going to say is, it worries me of what happened to our Bally and Williams tables. Are we?
Yeah, where'd they gone?
Are we in contract negotiations for those?
I
Because
don't
this is
know.
what happened at the end of, what was it, season 2, where we all of a sudden had 6 tables in a row of Gottlieb.
Yeah. Oh, those were
What a
bad
miserable time that
days.
was, right?
It was pretty terrible. Yeah. Yeah. That was not a fun time.
Um, so I don't know. I'm curious to see where they go with that, but I'll be very disappointed if that's the season that we wind up having. I don't know. I'm still fingers crossed. Pull out a save. Give me roller games.
Well, we are going to get probably another Doctor Who table in the next couple of months, which will be interesting. We
True.
should
And then the
talk about that a
question
bit more, eh?
I don't know. Are we ready to talk about that? I've seen some screenshots that came out with the newsletter, but that's about all the info that I have.
Yeah, I think we can have a very brief discussion about it because there's stuff in there that more relates to the rules, and it's interesting to see how they're sort of adapting the table layout because they really haven't changed much on the table layout. How they're changing the table layout and the rules based around the existing layout. It gives you some clues, perhaps, about what's going to be in the table.
You're able to gather all that from the 3 pictures. So,
well,
in case you don't subscribe to the newsletter, basically they posted 3 pics. One of which was where normally the time expander was. There was now a gaping hole and a TARDIS.
Yeah, that's all there is. It looks really, really depopulated. I'm not sure what's going on there.
This is a very early. I gotta believe this is a very early build, or not even build, but like I said, it's not fully populated or artwork hasn't been done yet. It's just kind of like, hey, this is an idea that we're having. That TARDIS is going up here. Pop bumpers were Dalek heads.
They look good. I got to say, they look quite cool. The Dalek zone, because it's all about battling their enemies. So
right.
I think you got to battle the Daleks by shooting them up into there. The real card tells you a little bit more, which is you try to squint at the rule card in the email because it's very small. See if I can bring it up. Embiggen it. No, I can't. I can't really embiggen it.
The plunger is a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah. So
that was the one thing that looked finished.
Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I've got to admit that actually looks kind of pretty sweet. So it looks like there's the following areas in the playfield, and that is the ball launch behaves exactly like the original table, where you select your villain instead of doctor this time, because this is all about the battling the villains. So they've flipped it around basically, which is interesting. So you select your villain and you go and target that area of the playfield to get more points, just like you do in the original game. Then you've got the Time Lord's Fury. Now I'm just trying to you've got Time Lord's Fury, you've got how to earn a special, an extra ball, a Zygon shot, playfield multipliers, which I'm pretty sure will be on the ramp like they are now, regeneration mode, and you've got the Doctor itself. So it's using the DOCTOR target. So there could be 1 or 2 locations. It could be the repair targets or the escape targets in the game. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the escape targets down the bottom of the table. And then you hit the TARDIS to start multi-ball, and jackpot is 3 hits on the cyber boss. So I have a feeling that is still going to be a mini playfield that raises up. And I reckon that the thing on the top is just basically replace the 2 locks, and that's all it is.
Right.
And maybe there's a lock either side of the playfield as they flesh it out more. But I reckon it really is just quite a. Whoops! I'm just zooming my phone now. It's a mega zoom. So. Hang on a sec. I'll just scroll down and zoom into the... Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so it appears that they're going to try and keep the flow the same in the table, but I think they're going to try and, I guess, switch the focus. So it's interesting to see where they're going from a design perspective on it. Let's see how it goes as far as realization of the theme. Because there's you got to go and shoot the angel targets, and you got to to regenerate yourself, you've got to shoot 10 loops, which is basically the hang-on ramp. Then you've got to complete Who, which is the Sonic Boom, to score 10 million. So it looks like they're really plugging into the ROM like quite extensively. So they're still plugging into the rule set of the ROM, but they're probably going to do completely new DMDs, sound, and everything to sort of match up to it. So retrofitting rules onto an old game, very interesting. I don't know how they're going to, technically how they will achieve that, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all washes out.
And I do really wonder if it's, I don't think they're going to make that an entire, the only solitary release for that month.
I reckon they will.
Do you think it will be its own?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I reckon it will be. Yeah, it'll be the only one out, and it'll probably be around Christmas, my guess.
Well, if they did it that way, but I'm wondering if it becomes that we'd get 11 tables, you might say, for that season, as opposed to
possible.
Well, yeah, because I don't know that. I think that's one of the reasons why they're, well, one of the many reasons why the Ghostbusters Haunted House redo never actually made its way into the Pinball Arcade because it wasn't a real machine.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. The interesting thing here, to get special, it's a long march to that. You've got to shoot all the angel targets, which if you have a look at the screenshots in the newsletter, there were angel targets to the left and right of the time expander. What was the time expander? So I'm sure there's other ones floating around too. So you've got to shoot all the angel targets 4 separate times to time lock them for eternity and score a special. So that's going to be non-trivial. So yeah, I love to try and understand what targets they're tying into the existing ROM to do that. And I'm trying to remember how you trigger a special now. And I think it might be loops, I think. So I don't know how they're going to trigger that. Anyhow, I think time will tell.
Time will tell, absolutely. In other news, there's all sorts of things that have been going on this week.
Lots of pinball, eh? Lots of pinball this week.
Did you see the pictures of Batman 66?
No, I haven't actually been anywhere near real pinball sites this week.
So Stern released some pics, I should say, the whole gallery, like they tend to do right before the tables are released, of the tables. And it is as garish and loud as Batman should be. And it's now, from the pics, I was having a very hard time telling if it was photoshopped pictures of the characters or if they were hand-drawn but very photorealistic. Some of the images on the playfield definitely are hand-drawn images, but they basically have 5 villains across the center right above the flippers. I don't know what the modes are or anything. I didn't do research beyond just looking at the pictures, but those are the ones that look kind of Photoshop-ish. But if there was ever a table where I didn't mind, it's this table, because Batman 66 very much had crappy graphics slapped on top of live action, and it works in a weird way. I kind of went, you know what? I don't mind what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
They have the table come in 3 different versions, and I did have to laugh. So the regular version,
the Pro is premium.
The Pro is premium and costs that much.
So
$500. And then you have the limited edition, which runs you a cool $10,000.
And then you have the super limited, which is like the cost of more than the cost of a reasonably priced car.
I think what was it, 15?
16 grand.
16 grand.
That is bonkers.
Now, here's the thing. If it's not even a choice for you because you had to submit an application, which, roll my eyes, you had to submit an application for Stern to even choose you to be able to purchase one. It reminds me of when Ferrari comes out with certain models of their vehicle that they're only going to produce 100 or 300 of, and everybody has to submit their resume of how much of a Ferrari collector they are and why they should own it, because otherwise it just goes to all these Saudi princes. That's what this reminded me of. Of like, really? But the cool thing that I liked with the limited edition as opposed to the Pro is the topper. And
the top of it.
They
cast
put the
bat
two
suit above.
arches of what the bubble roof of the car with a red siren in between the two, so it looks like the Batmobile, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they've got that. The theming is, it actually seems pretty good on it.
It does,
but I don't know. I don't think the price tag commands it. Sure, it's got the new amazing LCD in it. Whatever, like all the other manufacturers have been doing that for a little while now, and they're certainly not that price. So, you look.
Honestly, I think this is priced because I know it's a collector's table before anybody even gets their hands on it.
Yeah. I think that's probably it, yeah. And they actually, Stern have, if you listen to the other pinball podcasts, they've covered this ad nauseum. And it's really, Stern will actually have an option on buying it from you again if you sell it within, I think it's a year or something like that, of getting it, like the super premium version.
Flip it.
No, you can't flip it. Like, they will actually restrict you from selling it somehow, which is like, everyone's just going, oh, really? Get stuffed. Here, I'll give you a flip. I'll flip you.
I'm not leasing this. I'm purchasing it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So, yeah.
But here's the question. Is that for the super special edition, or is that for all 3 editions?
That's for the super special edition.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. No, I understand that. Again, if you're going to go through an application process, they don't want you succeeding in the application and turning around and charging double what you just paid for it. Yeah, so I understand them keeping track of it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the funny thing is that they said, it'll be super limited edition run of 30, and then the demand for it was so high, they said, let's make that 80. So good on you, Stern. It's going to be super limited unless people actually want to buy it. Then we're going to reconsider that as we need, because we're a business and we can do it with the hell we like.
Now, another interesting thing that we've noticed is, you remember a few months back we talked about VP cabs and
their success on Shark Tank.
Yeah. Since then, we've been one company has actually contacted us, and another company we were pointed in the direction of. There are 2 more virtual pinball cabinets coming out, and we'll have more on that soon to come. But one of them is called the Highway Group. I believe that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, the Highway Group. They're based down here in New South Wales, and they've got their own little digital pinball platform, which is pretty much it's all the digital pinball released to date. So from Zen, Farsight, and all the MAME ones as well.
Basically, it's and what was the name of the company? Other company is escaping me at the moment.
The other one is Bespoke Arcades, and they've got their product Kingpin, which I'll give you a hot tip, looks better realized than the other one. It just looks more like a pinball machine.
So it is interesting because in the videos they always show them being able to play Farsight tables and Zen tables, and of course Future Pinball and Pinball VR or VR Pinball. No.
Yeah, VR Pinball.
V Pinball, Virtual Pinball. I'm like
VPin yeah.
Right. VPin.
Yeah.
They're all showing that, but I do go back to VP Cab as being the only one so far that's licensed for Zen.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's something to be said about that.
Doing it right, essentially.
But with the Kingpin cab, it looks like they're incorporating an Xbox Kinect camera to it so that it will shift the perspective of the table as you move.
Yeah, that's right. So you don't need to have goggles on. It will actually slightly shift the perspective, which is going to be interesting. Because
that I think is very interesting for the virtual pinball cabinet market.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. You can really upgrade the living wazoo out of this thing too. Like there's a 5,000 or 6,000 pound version, which is the entry level model. Then
somehow I don't think it weighs that much.
No. Then you go up then you can add on anything extra. Like you could do, you can customize anything on it. You can do a custom finish, custom graphics, accessories. You could pretty much pimp it out the way you want. And then there's an option that you can get an RGB light show kit at the back to actually sort of give the playfield a bit more depth. A full vibration kit. These motors look pretty beefy inside the the cabinet, there's actually 8 extra points of vibration with a kicker and motor in there to really give more haptic feedback. The thing that struck me a bit strange with the Kingpin product is the fact that for the nudge and tilt functions, there's actually buttons. It doesn't actually allow you to naturally tilt the table like the V-Pin cabs version did. I think they actually had some sort of accelerometer in the game, didn't they, Chris, that allowed you to tilt? Yeah, this one's all button control, which is a bit hokey, really.
I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it's not realistic enough. But you can actually add in a real digital plunger and upgrade your sound system from a normal 2.1 speaker system to the no highs, no lows, it's a Bose system. So that's going to be interesting. And yeah, the 3D upgrade kit as well.
For those that are laughing at me right now, yes, I just realized that when Jared said 4,000 to 5,000 pound, he meant money, not weight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that's what you're talking about. Yeah, pounds sterling. But that's not all.
It's a company in England, correct? Based off their prices in pounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, I did catch that, folks. I'm not that much of an idiot. I was just slow on the uptake. The sound cabinet, I should point out that was one of the things that Stern upgraded with the super special version, is their sound. And I'm curious to know if you put that up against VP Cab's sound system, which sound like it would just, make your
teeth
everything
melt
on your wall fall off.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I think the people are saying, oh, how can you do virtual surround sound in a pinball machine? It's very easy. You do phase inversion, just like Bose do with all their 2.1 speaker systems. It's just phase inversion. So it throws the sound to the back of you. It's easy. So yeah, that's really possible to do. And it sounds really good too. The effect is very convincing. But yeah, the EX version of the Kingpin cabinet is 9,995 pounds sterling.
Man.
Including VAT. So isn't that good?
That is a chunk of change.
Yeah, it sure is. So it looks like with that one, though, you do get a Steam gift card.
How generous.
So they throw in a Steam gift card for that. It's like, far out, okay.
That's their licensing right there.
There you go. You're now being licensed, yeah. So anything on Steam, you can put on it.
So hopefully we'll have more news for you guys coming up. We're reaching out and trying to maybe have either or both of these companies talk to us and give us their pitch of why their cab is awesome.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. Also want to point everybody's direction out. There is another virtual pinball game out there by a new company. The game we were talking about is called Black Flaggers.
Yeah. Steam only, right?
It's Steam only at the moment. They were running a Kickstarter, and then they pulled the Kickstarter. The company is Formslingers. That's the name of the company. They're based in Berlin, and I believe it's two guys. Is what Sven told us.
Yeah,
and from the looks of the video, again, the game is called Black Flaggers Pinball. It's pirate themed and has really, really cool lighting on it.
Yeah, it does. It looks so sharp. It's pretty good for a TV2.
It has a nice fade and a nice glow to it. And the thing that I really appreciated was when a flasher went off that was above the table, it illuminated that portion of the table and then faded back. So the light really looks wonderfully interactive. It's also
using Unity, I think, to do it. So Unity's got really good lighting baked into the platform.
It, in a lot of respects, looks like a Zen table. This is one of those. It kind of is. It's not contained inside of a cabinet. It's kind of floating out there in its own thing. But the actual gameplay by the video looks like it very much adheres to real pinball. It's not full of animated things that dance and pop up in the middle of the playfield. It's like a ramp is a ramp and a trail is a trail. It's not going to magically transport a ball somewhere.
Okay.
So it's kind of it looks like kind of a hybrid, you might say, of a pinball arcade and a Zen table.
Mm.
kind of taking the best of both worlds, but creating more of a realistic environment. You might say.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say realistic when there's a shark and a pirate head that moves around on the table. But anyway, it looks pretty good. Right now, they're trying to get the Steam green light. So look up Black Flaggers Pinball, give them the okay, and hopefully, if they can get on Steam again, we'll be able to maybe talk to them. If Sven's already been in contact with them, working some magic and working behind the scenes to see if we can get a chat with them going on here.
Yeah. There's another new release as well, which has come out on mobile. It's called Pin Out, and it's made by this company called Mediocre Games, and it's like they produce really, really good games, but I love the fact that they call themselves mediocre. It's very good. So Pin Out is a pinball aesthetic puzzle game is the best way I could describe it. You go through... it's linear, so it's a little bit like an endless runner pinball, but it's not really endless running. You do have control of like where the ball goes, and it's not just like a normal endless runner where you go left or right, or maybe jump if you got a really advanced one. This one's you got to shoot the ramps, and the idea is to build up your time. It's all time based, so if you run out of time, that's game over. And the game itself is spread over 6 levels. And if you buy the one-time in-app purchase to unlock the game, you get to continue from wherever you left off in the game. So the idea is with the game is
It looks a bit like Pinball as interpreted through Tron.
It looks exactly like that. The graphics aesthetic in it is really, really good, and the soundtrack to it is second to none. Like it fits perfectly with the theme of the game, and it's all electronic soundtrack. And it's it's so well themed. If you want to see perfect execution for a soundtrack in a game, this would be a reference title for me. It's unbelievable. So the idea is to pick up the little time dots that are on the playfield to give you extra time, and find the quickest and most efficient path to the very end. Now, the idea is that the thing you'll find is that when you go through the 6 stages to build up your time, there's an end game in mind. And that end game is to go into what they call basically extra time mode. And the idea with that mode is to get as far as possible through the same 6 levels again, but without the requirement to pick up any time extension cubes. So you're basically going, right, from the very start, I've got to go all the way through the levels again and try and get as far as I possibly can to the end. And I believe the end of the game is you've got to get to the end of the levels again, and then you win the game. I haven't yet been able to do it.
Interesting. People playing with
people
playing with form factor of pinball, but turning it into, like you said, a puzzler.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite good that the puzzles, you do actually need to do some memory recall in the game about which things you need to shoot where. So there is a bit of retention required with this game. But it's very accessible as far as interface goes. It's basically left and right on the screen. And it's got different graphics modes to cater for the devices. On my Nexus 6P, I can do balance mode, but on my Shield tablet, I can go for extreme mode, which looks amazing. Like, this thing is pumping out PC quality graphics on my tablet. It looks amazing. So yeah, I would recommend you pick it up. It's free on mobile, and you can choose whether you want to unlock the IOP, so you got nothing to lose.
So this is what I love about our little niche hobby gaining traction again in the real world with real pinball, is that all of a sudden we're having all these gaming via digital options happening, whether it be the Stern Pinball Arcade app, the Pinball Arcade itself, Zen, games like what you're talking about, what Black Flaggers is doing, all the way to these virtual cabinet makers. It's really kind of fun seeing it all kind of blooming in front of us, whereas when Pinball Arcade came out, what was that, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? 4 years ago.
That was pretty much it. And Zen. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, that was it. There wasn't anything else
worthy of download.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, virtual pinball had been VPN had been going on for a little while there, but it was so completely niche that even your casual fan wouldn't have had any clue about it, let alone the difficulty of the install at that time.
Yeah, that's right. It was not easy to get that thing running. You really had to be pretty dedicated to wanting to play pinball.
Right. So it's really kind of cool. I'm happy that it's kind of going, and that's why you listen to the BlahCade, isn't it? Because this is what we talk about. Digital
pinball. And sometimes real pinball if there's crossover, which there often is.
Yes, there often is. Yeah. Hey, if you want to get a hold of us, why don't you do so? Contact us via email at blahcade@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter.
It's
I'm
a winner.
I'm not sure if I want to find out what that site is. Twitter at BlahCade, or you can talk to myself at Shut Your Traps. Jared is at Jared Morgs. Highlight one other thing. So those of you that have listened to us for a while, Sven comes on all the time. His username is Xenia. And Sven recently has been promoted on the Pinball Arcade forums up to moderator.
Yes, with the pay rise that comes along with that.
Being nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, that's right.
except for here's a few more headaches for you.
Yeah, that's right.
And he, within 2 days, already went and cleaned up the front page of the Pinball Arcade fans website, went through, cleared out a whole bunch of sticky posts, basically went and took out the trash, you might say, that's been we've been hoarding.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you've noticed a new look about the Pinball Arcade fans website, you can thank Sven for that, and I encourage you to do that. He's putting in a lot of work that probably has just been built up over time, where it's like, God, why don't they do it this way? Why don't they do it this way? Why don't they do it this way? And we kind of came to the conclusion, myself, Jared, and the other moderators on the thread, after Sven had put in enough time helping me with various projects on the side, I was like, hey, you know what? This guy actually kind of cares about this stuff. So why don't we give him some extra access?
Yep, and it's paying off. So that's really good.
So if suddenly you find yourself being banned by Sven, it's not us.
Yeah,
it's him.
It's him. He's doing it because we're just sitting here. We got our own fish to fry. Yeah.
Something to that effect. All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks as always to listening to us blather on and on and on and on and on about all sorts of nonsense. We'll continue blathering on and on next week, so tune in then too.
Yeah, we'll be here.
We will be. All right, until then, catch you on the flip side.
Bye-bye.